If you're anything like me, you spent the last couple of days being exhausted by obsessing over the trickling in results from the Iowa caucus and the Democratic primary, and now you want to pivot towards something where voting actually matters. That's right, the Academy Awards.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If this is your first time here, my name's Dom. I'm a film critic, and this channel is dedicated to me doing film reviews, talking about film culture, looking at old films, new films, all sorts of typical movie bro bullshit. If you like the channel and you like what I'm talking about here, please feel free to subscribe so you can see when I upload new videos. This is sort of my return from an unintentional hiatus. If you guys are wondering where I've been since the Joker video went up back in October, I got a new job. I've just been dealing with a lot of stuff, and I've just been swamped and tired. I will be back to a regular upload schedule very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But for now, it's Oscar week, and we got to talk about the Oscars, one of the most important things in the entire world. Now, I understand that the Oscars don't fucking matter to like most people. Anytime it gets to this time of the year when people have conversations about film and awards and things like that, the number one thing that always comes up in conversations I have with friends is that the Academy Awards don't matter. If people get mad about who's nominated, who's not nominated, who's snubbed, what racial group is not represented very well, what gender is not represented very well, people always say, well, who cares? The Oscars don't matter. Make your own awards, that type of thing. I largely agree that the Oscars don't matter. They're not really important in the sense of like the world, obviously. Like there's a lot more important things going on than like who wins a fucking gold statuette. It's largely just a lot of rich people giving each other pats in the back for playing make-believe. I know that. However, if you care about movies, there's not really anything bigger than the Academy Awards every year to sort of help delineate to an audience like what films are important in the culture at the moment. I think the Oscars are largely silly, and I think that the Oscars tend to be wrong, even though art is subjective. I do think they tend to exalt a lot of films that suck. But, ultimately the Academy Awards are an important institution in the industry. It isn't so much that like we actually have a choice in how much legitimacy we ascribe to the Academy. It's more that this is what the industry cares about. Like if people win Academy Awards, generally it helps them get more roles, it helps them secure better pay, it helps them get, more power in the industry. So like we can say, oh, the Oscars are stupid, who cares? But people benefit from it. And if the people that benefit from that benefit disproportionately from certain types of artists, that's frustrating. So I get why there's this sort of back and forth about it. Every year, though, for the last few years, I've been doing sort of like Oscar roundups where I go and talk about all the Best Picture nominees and which ones I like, which ones I don't like, and sort of give people a bit of insight into like what's going on. Unlike most regular people, like I watched, 600 movies last year, so I watched all the Best Picture nominees like months before the actual, not months, maybe a month, before the actual nominations came out. So I've already seen these movies, and like the average film goer doesn't actually take the time to watch all of the awards-based stuff that comes out. I get sent screeners every year now, so like I sort of have no choice. It's like, what else am I going to do around the holidays? So I wanted to do a roundup of all the Best Picture nominees and sort of give people my insight into the movies, especially since I didn't get to cover a lot of these during my hiatus, and, sort of have an idea going into Oscar Sunday, like what all these pictures are about and stuff. To be clear, we are only going to be talking about the Best Picture nominees. We're not going to talk about how furious Adam Sandler's Best Actor snub made me, or how disappointed I was that J-Lo was not nominated for Best Supporting Actress, or how there's like no women up for Best Director, like all that stuff. Like we're just going to focus on the Best Picture nominees, like the 9 films that the Academy feels like are the most important of the last year. We're actually going to be breaking these films down into 4 different categories. We're going to talk about what films won't win, definitely. We're going to talk about what films I hope don't win. We're going to talk about what films very likely will win, and then we're going to talk about what I think should win. We're going to start off with the what definitely will not win category. And the first film on that docket is Ford versus Ferrari. Ford versus Ferrari is directed by James Mangold. It stars Matt Damon and Christian Bale as sort of like frenemies who get together to help Ford, the company, beat Ferrari at like this big racing thing. You could probably already tell from my lack of enthusiasm that like I don't really give a shit about Ford versus Ferrari. It was one of the last Best Picture nominees I actually watched, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool movie. I thought Matt Damon and Christian Bale were very good in it. I thought it was like largely well edited, despite the fact that it's like nearly 3 hours long. It's sort of like a meat and potatoes like dad movie that a lot of older dudes probably liked compared to some of the, sensitive, more artsy films in the field this year. But like, I just never considered it like a Best Picture contender, really, because it's a good, solid movie. It's entertaining. If it comes on TV again in a few years, I'll probably watch it, but it's not a film I thought about, like, at all when it was over. I wasn't, like, moved that much. I feel like it's largely this big, you know, like, interesting enough racing movie, but it's also, like, James Mangold working out his, like, personal issues with, like, the studio system and trying to make a statement about, like, letting artists create and how, like, big studios should interrupt with that and stuff. But I feel like the way he injects those personal themes into the story feels awkward and doesn't really, like, land, and just kind of makes him seem, like, whiny and annoying. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. It's like a good movie, had a good time, loved Christian Bale in it, playing like a regular ass person for the first time in his like entire career. Him just sounding and talking like a regular, like how he talks, and not gaining a lot of weight or wearing a weird hairpiece. Like super into Christian Bale, just showing up and doing some good character work. And Damon is really fun too. But for me, Ford Ferrari is like, I don't know why it's even nominated, if that makes sense. Like, ever since the whole Dark Knight debacle when Heath Ledger won the award, but like the film was really underrepresented, people wanted to, you know, they expanded the field of nominees from 5 to like up to 10. And the idea being that more populist films that the Oscars tend to ignore be able to come into like the category and be really cool. But like, that was like 11 years ago. And in the years since, almost no actual cool populist movies have been nominated for Best Picture. Like Black Panther was last year, I guess, but like it's we've never had like the extra, like the beyond 5 slots filled with like movies that otherwise wouldn't get in. It's always like just hanger-on movies you know won't win. I feel like if you're gonna have like 9 nominees and like 4 of them are essentially not real nominees because they're like ancillary, why would you make one of them Ford versus Ferrari? I mean, I get the way the voting body works. A lot of people probably like the movie, but like, you know, if you're going to fill that slot with a movie that like is going to be represented, but we know isn't going to win, like make it cooler movies. You know what I mean? Like put like a Fast and Furious movie in there or something. Like I just think that if you're going to, you know, if you're going to expand the field, shouldn't you try to represent a larger diversity of movies? And I don't mean diversity in the sense of just like, you know, black movies or like gay movies or whatever. I mean like literally the fact that most Oscar type movies are all the same kind of prestige bait. Represent some blockbusters, represent some smaller indies, represent, you know, different stuff. Let a documentary be up for Best Picture occasionally or something, you know, like mix it up. Ford Ferrari to me is like the opposite of mixing it up, especially in a world where like Uncut Gems came out and Dark Waters, which is a really underrated film, or like Dolomite Is My Name, and like there's other films that I really love this year that the Oscars just seem to like largely ignore, and it just seems weird to me that like Ford Ferrari is what got in. Like it's not mediocre or bad, but it's on like the lower end of good to me. So yeah, Ford Ferrari not fucking winning. Another film that is like not winning is Little Women, Greta Gerwig's adaptation of the classic novel. I know people complaining this book has been adapted into movies too many times, but Greta Gerwig's Little Women is an amazing movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Absolutely loved it. And I'm actually like disappointed that this movie isn't getting more Oscar love. Like it's made a fair amount of money at the box office. I think by the time the Oscars air, it'll be over like $100 million. It's a period piece, but it's like a good period piece. It's beautifully shot, well directed, well acted, well written. And it's like the Oscars don't seem to care. Like it's up for several awards, but like it doesn't at all feel like a front runner or anything like that. And obviously the conversation is centered around the fact that Greta Gerwig is nominated for Best Director. It's sort of like a dude's field, even though the movie is up for Best Picture. And I definitely feel like she should have gotten the nomination. I think it's an incredible movie. I think a lot of very incredible movies directed by women were overlooked this year, but Little Women specifically is like the one that sticks out to me. And it's odd. Little Women's the kind of movie I normally would never fucking want to watch. Like I don't like period pieces. I don't like costume dramas and stuff, but when I saw this movie, I like was bawling my eyes out. Like I loved it. I thought about it nonstop. I haven't gotten to watch it a second time yet, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. And it's just odd. It's weird that this movie that in like other years would be like an obvious Oscar movie, I guess, is sort of like a, you know, like an outlier. It's not something that people seem to be as passionate about. There's sort of a narrative that like, oh, like it's because all the men don't like it because it's a women's movie. But like I know tons of men who've seen it and fucking loved it. Like it's not that kind of, like there definitely is a bit of that to the narrative surrounding the movie's campaign, but I don't believe that. Like I think it connects with like people across multiple, you know, it's I didn't think this movie was like too white. I didn't think it was too feminine or whatever. Like I thought it was just like a really touching movie with a lot of really great performances from like all the women in it, all the men. Like it's just like delightful. I don't know. Like maybe it's because I never read the book and I've never seen the other adaptations of the story that I was able to connect to it so closely or whatever. But maybe other people didn't because they were bored of the idea of Little Women movie. But nah, Little Women's tight, man. Like that's it's kind of sad that it's not even in the conversation for winning to me. I think it's a dope movie and I'm a little bit disappointed. And another movie that I liked quite a lot, but is like obviously not going to win Best Picture, is Marriage Story. I've been a huge fan of Noah Baumbach's films since I was like in high school. I've seen every one of his movies multiple times, and I feel like the work he's been doing since his couple of collaborations with Greta Gerwig, specifically Mistress America and Frances Ha, I think that he's become like a little more interesting of a filmmaker. I think there's a little bit less acidity to his work. I really prefer Meyerowitz Stories, his last Netflix film from a couple years ago. But to me, I thought Marriage Story was really well done. It's a little bit too long, just a little bit. I feel like the balance in the storytelling skews a little bit too close to Adam Driver, Charlie's side of the story over Scarlett Johansson's. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more like parody there. But I don't know, like if you compare it to something like Kramer versus Kramer, which the movie was immediately compared to when it came out, it's like leagues better and more nuanced than I thought that film was. And, you know, beautiful cinematography, really good performances. I know most people like only know the movie if they haven't seen it from like the argument memes and from the fact that Netflix just shared like the emotional climax of the movie on Twitter out of context.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead.
And people just assume the whole movie is just like two white people screaming at each other and like how corny that is, but that's like not what the movie's like at all. That's just like one scene in the movie that works better when it's like built up to, not when you're just watching it while scrolling through memes. Just my opinion, but I think it's a really strong film. I liked it a lot. When I went to a screening for it, they were giving out like Marriage Story branded like tissues. And I remember thinking like, oh God, this is like the stupidest fucking like marketing thing. Like, oh, it's gonna be so sad. You're gonna need these tissues. I needed the tissues. I think it's a really good movie. It's definitely the kind of movie that makes me like want to never get married. Like it just really calls into question like the entire concept of marriage. But it's also like a relatively interesting movie about a director like working through his own divorce and really like coming to terms with like a lot of shitty things about himself. That probably he should have come to sooner, I guess. But I don't know. I thought it was really fascinating, really good. But again, it's like there's like no chance it's going to win an Academy Award. That's just like not at all like going to happen. Not for Best Picture. I don't think the movie has like the necessary momentum from the other awards, and like the whole season, the campaign's not that strong. But it is like a really good movie. It's just not going to win. Now, these next two films I also don't think are going to win, but I'm going to put them in the category of just movies I don't want to win. And then I'll explain why. One of these films is Joker. I don't want Joker to win Best Picture. I've done two videos about Joker. One is an actual review of the film, and one is a review of the leaked screenplay that came out on the internet before the film came out. And my feelings on Joker haven't evolved much since those two videos, but the one thing I will say about the movie is this. I am totally cool with it being nominated for Best Picture because it made $1 billion this year. It was a huge movie. It had a lot of critical support, and like a lot of people, for whatever different reasons, really connected to it. And even though I didn't connect to it, I can recognize that it's an important movie for like other people. I'm not gonna like fully discount that just because like I thought it was sort of hollow and empty. That said, I don't want it to win, and my reasoning is different than maybe what you assume. I don't want it to win, not because like I hated it or I think Todd Phillips is like a untalented hack and stuff like that, even though I do. I just know that if Joker does somehow win Best Picture, which is unlikely, but if it does, that every studio that has superhero or comic book related IP is going to start churning out like these really bad pale imitations of Joker. And Joker is already a pale imitation of a bunch of 70s Scorsese movies that I really like. So I don't need to see that formula watered down any further because it would just be depressing. I don't want to see like Jay Roach directing like a Lobo movie that's structured like a Bergman film or something. I don't know. I just don't want to see more of the mixture of sort of like art film and comic book stuff when it's going to just be done badly and poorly. I'm not into that. My biggest beef with Joker, and I've talked about it in other videos and stuff, is just it boils down to I think the movie has a strong concept and interesting themes, but it's written and directed by people who are not capable of getting those themes across in a meaningful way. So all the discourse around the movie of people loving it because like they feel like it actually pushes forward an interesting conversation about class consciousness and stuff, and then the people who hate it because they think it's for incels or whatever. Like, I don't really fully agree with either one of those positions. I don't think that it's inherently wrong to make a movie exploring alienation and depression and stuff, and I think it's weird that so many people absolutely like hate the idea that this movie could connect with people, you know what I mean? And I think that the typical, it's just about white male rage thing, I think is sort of short-sighted. But at the same time, it's not a film I ever really feel like defending against people because I didn't enjoy it very much. Like, I like the idea of the movie, I like the themes in the movie, I just wish they were like better explored, that the movie itself was better. I mean, it's probably not going to Best Picture, though. This is just a layup for Joaquin Phoenix, who's fantastic in it, even though I think it's one of his like lesser performances. I just don't want it to take the whole cake. One, because I don't want to watch the discourse around that afterwards, and two, I just don't want people to try to replicate this more than they already are going to because of its box office returns. The other movie I really don't want to win Best Picture, that I'm pretty sure isn't going to win Best Picture, is Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit is my least favorite of the Best Picture nominees this year, and it's also probably one of my least favorite movies that I've seen in a very long time. I know that I'm in the minority on this. I know a lot of people love Jojo Rabbit and think it's like sweet and brilliant and funny and farcical and all that shit, but like, I'm just not one of those people. I will link below a review I wrote about Jojo Rabbit so you can kind of see, expanded thoughts about the movie. But I just thought it was like just a cowardly, stupid, insipid satire that like just does and means nothing. I don't think in 2019 we needed like the cutesy Nazi movie with as bad as, like the far right and the Nazi, neo-Nazi movement has been and things. I think that it's a movie that's sort of designed for like liberals to just pat themselves in the back for being like, oh yeah, Nazis are bad. I knew that. Easy one, and there's things about it that are good. I actually think Scarlett Johansson's performance as JoJo's mother is really good. I'm kind of glad she got double nominated. I think, this is a really good year for her, even though I'm not the biggest fan. And like the kid that plays JoJo is good, but like Taika's Hitler is really annoying. And like just the even idea of like making it this like, I don't want to watch like a fucking fake Wes Anderson movie about this topic. There are no useful observations about anything in this movie to me. I know that to some people it is like a cool argument for the idea that like people who fall into like fascist ideology and who are susceptible to that kind of like groupthink, that they can be saved from it by like the love of loved ones and stuff like that. I think that is like a touching thing or whatever, and probably a somewhat valuable thing to make a movie about this year. But I didn't really get that from the movie. I just got like a bunch of stuff where Nazis were like charming and like goofily dumb and stuff like that, and I think that's kind of like reductive and weird, and I don't know why we need that. I just don't know why we needed this movie. Like the entire time I was watching it, I was like, why? Why does this exist? And I know you could say that about a lot of movies, but this is the only movie I've watched in recent memory where like there was like a neon sign in my brain, like the Dirk Diggler thing from Boogie Nights, that was just like, why? Every scene, I was just like, why is this happening? And I know people always say, like, I love Taika Waititi, he can do anything. Like, what can't this guy do? This movie, he can't do this. This is just, it just sucks. And I'm grateful that he's not nominated for Best Director. I really kind of hope that in a couple of years everyone realizes that this movie is just like, twee bullshit. But for now, it's people seem to like it a lot. I'm just not one of them. Now we can talk about the two major frontrunners for Best Picture. The two films that are most likely the two options to actually win it all on Oscar Sunday. One of those films is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino film. I've done 2 videos about Tarantino this summer, one about just his other films, and then one specifically about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm obviously a pretty big mark for Quentin Tarantino. I've talked at length about his work this year, so I'm not going to get too deep into this. However, I will say that like if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does win Best Picture, and it's the first Quentin Tarantino movie to win Best Picture, it's gonna be like kind of dicey and weird to me that the first movie of his that is like actually respected by the Academy is like one where there's like literally no black people in it, and it's just like the most white film he's ever made, and easily like the most controversial, easily like the most divisive. It just, that is funny to me. Like, if that's the movie of Quentin Tarantino's the Academy goes, this is good. That's weird. I love a lot of things about the movie, obviously, as you've seen on the channel before, but I don't know that I would call it the best movie of the year. It's like in my top 10. Check the description below for like my actual like top movies list of the year and stuff. It just it feels like it's only getting love from Hollywood because it's a movie about Hollywood, and Hollywood fucking loves movies about itself, even like the bad ones. I think this is one of the good ones, certainly. It just feels like such a like throwaway. I feel like if it wins, it's just like Scorsese in The Departed, where it's like, hey, we've just ignored you for so long, and you made like a pretty fun populist movie. Just have here's a fucking award. You know, I don't necessarily feel like the film is really that great compared to certain other films that are nominated, or other films that just didn't get nominated at all. Like I feel like there are a lot of movies I like this year more than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that I feel like, you know, are more deserving. But I don't know. If it wins, I'm not going to be like mad. Oh, this is bullshit. A movie I largely enjoyed is up for an Academy Award. It just seems less like they want to award the movie and what people like about it, and more that they just want to reward the idea of the old Hollywood, and that is weird. I don't like that. But realistically speaking, the real movie that's probably going to win the Academy Award for Best Picture is 1917. I didn't like 1917 a lot either. My relationship with 1917 is this. I went to a screening of it a few weeks before it came out, and I fell asleep like 3 times throughout the second act. I was very embarrassed by it. I wasn't sleepy or tired or anything, and I wasn't bored. It just put me to sleep, which is odd because I was digging it up until I fell asleep. And I didn't review the film or anything, but in my head, I had formed pretty strong opinions about it. And then later, when I have conversations with other people about the movie, I realized that I really missed like the entire second act. Like, people were talking about, like, what do you think about that scene with Mark Strong? And I was like, Mark Strong was in that fucking movie. I was asleep when Mark Strong was on screen. So I decided, I got a screener for it in the mail after I went to the screening. So I was like, oh, I'll rewatch it. And then I rewatched it at home, and I fell asleep at the exact same point that I did in the theater at home. And I, again, wasn't even tired. It just happened. Then the next day I forced myself to like get through the whole movie, and I did. And it's like fine. It's like cool. The comparisons to Dunkirk are odd. I think I might like it more than Dunkirk. I was not a big fan of that movie. It's probably like my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I'm not a big fan of war movies in general, particularly war movies that like seem to be designed for like war nerds, if that makes sense. Like people that just like watching movies about like the army and shit. People that like stay up late watching like documentaries on World War II on the History Channel. I'm not really that into that stuff. Like my favorite war movie is probably like The Thin Red Line. I don't really need to watch movies where like war is like interesting and you're looking at all the fucking, you know, the proper plane in the background and all the type of, like, you know what I'm talking about, that kind of stuff. I'm not into that. But, you know, like the performances in the movie are good. I think the script is like whatever. It doesn't feel like a very complete story to me. I feel like Sam Mendes had an idea for like a gimmick for a World War I movie, and then, you know, largely executed it well. I just think that it's a concept that doesn't leave a lot of room for a really interesting story. I feel like, you know, it's essentially like a weird cribbing of Cuarón. Like the movie sort of feels like the last like 20 minutes or whatever of Children of Men, but not as good. The main reason I like 1917 is Roger Deakins, cinematographer. Like, I definitely wanted to win Best Cinematography. This is just a huge showcase for how good he is at creating images on the big screen. But beyond that, I'm not that impressed. Like, I was impressed with the fake one take. Obviously, all the cuts aren't very well hidden, but like it's still impressive, and the feeling of the one take still works. I thought it was really interesting that they changed the composition so consistently throughout the movie, so that it never feels like you're watching a boring one take thing. Like, I thought that was really strong. That they very organically were able to continuously reposition the compositions so that it kind of felt like different scenes. But beyond that, beyond being impressed by like the gimmick, the movie itself doesn't really mean a lot to me or do anything for me. And I've seen analysis of the film where I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay, yeah, that's powerful. But the movie didn't do that for me. I had to have like someone else tell me how the movie made them feel. It's exactly the kind of movie that wins Best Picture. It's going to win Best Picture probably, and it's not going to be a movie we talk about in the future. I don't think 10 years from now, people are going to be clamoring to talk about 1917. I just don't. But alas. Which comes down to like the last two movies to really talk about. And these are the two movies that I would be really stoked if they won. The first of those two movies is The Irishman. I'm a huge mark for Martin Scorsese. I've been writing for Marty since childhood. When I was like 15, I think, was the first time I read Scorsese on Scorsese. And I read it like 6 times or whatever. Like, he was like my first favorite director. And I'm always going to have a soft spot for him. Obviously, everyone, I think, especially like young guys, like you start off loving Scorsese and you go out from there. But I've never like stopped. I've never gotten bored by his work. I've never felt like I outgrew him as an influence or whatever. I've always loved him. He's great. And like the last few months have been so demoralizing watching people, like watching like MCU fans try to tear Marty down for like saying he doesn't like Marvel movies and saying that all he makes are gangster movies for like about white privilege or whatever. And it's just bullshit. It's like, if you've ever watched this man's filmography, he makes such diverse and interesting films about a variety of topics and themes and styles and tones and all these things. To be able to look at him and just assume he's like only like the guy that made Goodfellas, even though Goodfellas is fucking amazing, assuming that he's just made 10 Goodfellas is so unfair, and it's such garbage. One of the reasons it's weird to me that people even have issues with The Irishman is that I know a lot of people who have problems with the movie have not watched it. I know that. Like, that's 100%. It's like 3.5 hours long, and the most accessible way to see it is on Netflix, and I sincerely doubt a lot of the people who don't like Martin Scorsese are really sitting down to watch the whole movie. I saw it at a press screening about a month before it came out onto Netflix, and the night before I went to the screening, I watched Goodfellas, which I watched like, I don't know, once or twice a year. And then I watched Casino for the first time. I'd never actually watched Casino all the way through. And then the next morning when I woke up, I went to the screening for The Irishman. And I didn't fall asleep. I did miss the opening minute of the movie the first time I saw it because I was in the bathroom. But I loved it. I adored it. But when I first saw it, I kind of thought like, oh, it's like 3.5 stars. Like, it's a really good movie. Too long, because that's like how I feel about long movies. But man, the whole rest of that month, that movie is pretty much all I thought about. I thought about it all the time. I would be doing something and then just a shot would pop in my head, or an image or a line or like a delivery of a line. And it was like one of the only movies that I've seen where like I kept liking it more and more the more I was away from it. And I've always said I think that's the mark of a very strong movie. There are other movies I liked when I watched them, but then they just like poof, they go away because you watch new movies. And The Irishman, to me, was not the kind of movie. I didn't get to watch it for a second time until about a week ago, and I loved it even more. I will say this, though. I did not write about The Irishman anywhere, and I didn't make a video about it or anything, because I have a really hard time articulating how much I like it in using specificity. Like, if that makes sense. Usually when I have strong feelings about a movie, I can, like I'm a film critic. This is like my job. I can articulate, like, exactly why and try to find profound observations about things, and, like, I don't really have that for The Irishman. I'm a little embarrassed about it, so I don't really debate people about the movie very much. Because I've had people tell me they didn't like the movie, and they explain why they didn't like it. And my only real response is just like, okay, well, like, you're wrong. I don't know. Like, I just love the movie so much that I don't really care if anybody else loves it. There are so many interesting, like, rhyming moments in the film. It covers such a large expanse of time. And I know people don't like the CGI de-aging stuff, but the performances themselves are incredible. Like, Pacino is great. Pesci is great. De Niro is also very good. I wouldn't say great necessarily, but it's one of his better performances. It's just that he has so many great ones that it seems less interesting or whatever. It's not as showy a role as I think, people may have wanted him to get. But largely the main reason I love the movie so much is because it is Marty reckoning with the image of himself as being this gangster movie filmmaker and about the iconography and things that he's put into popular culture. And it's so interesting watching a man near the end of his career like revisit like a popular, part of his filmography from a completely different perspective. So much of The Irishman feels like a really interesting rebuke of Goodfellas. Like, Goodfellas is an incredible movie, and it's great, and a lot of people sort of watch it as just being cool, and they don't really, like, get a lot of things about the movie. And The Irishman just feels like, okay, like, you didn't get all that stuff, then I'm gonna do it now. Like he's just like killing this like younger part of himself and making a meditation about like life and death and like regret and all this stuff. And I think it's killer, man. It's like one of the greatest filmmakers of all time at like the peak of his powers, working with some of his best collaborators at like the peak of like their powers, maybe not the peak, but like very close to it. And it feels like such an important movie. Like I know that some people sort of look at it as like that one Triple H Undertaker match, the end of the era match, where it's just like three old dudes like just doing too much for too long. But I love it. I think it's a great movie, and it's exactly the kind of movie that I sort of feel like should be exalted with the Best Picture award. It's a very good movie. I firmly believe it's going to last longer in the cultural consciousness than pretty much any other movie nominated this year. I think it's a movie that like is just going to get better with time. People are going to love this movie longer when it's moved away from like the discourse about the MCU and Netflix and stuff like that. And to me, those are the kinds of movies like we should be awarding. You know what I mean? Like stamping in time. Like, hey, this year this came out. Wasn't that fucking dope? Alas. And then, of course, the movie that like really should win Best Picture, it's like such a no-brainer at this point, is Parasite, the Bong Joon-ho film that like everyone loves. Like, when's the last time a movie connected so thoroughly with so many different people? And when's the last time the movie was like a foreign film? I've always liked Bong Joon-ho's movies, except like Auteur. I didn't really connect with that one. But I think there was maybe a month or so of like people telling me how great Parasite was, and then me thinking, fuck, by the time I actually watch this movie, like it's not gonna live up to the hype. But it did live up to the hype. It like tripled the hype, and it's a movie that like I keep thinking I'm eventually gonna like get over or be less impressed by or find some fatal flaw in. And like, yeah, I've seen some like pretty interesting like leftist critiques of the film and stuff, but it's a really good fucking movie, man. It's just it's so well made. It's so impressive. It has such a great cast, and it's just really it's really clicking with people, I think, for some pretty obvious reasons. And I think this is a sort of thing that like should be Best Picture this year. Like it's easily like probably the best movie I saw all year by like a country mile. It works so well. It has such an interesting message about like, you know, anti-capitalism, and it just to me feels like the movie of the moment, and like in a way where like we'll look back at this and the movie will still be important, not in a way where like we'll look back and be like, why were we excited about that movie? Like no, this movie I think is going to endure, and I think it matters, and I think it's important, and now I'm rooting for it so hard just because of seeing all the fucking dipshit Academy voters who are just like, subtitles. I don't want to read. Like, it's a fucking... Grow up, okay? Like, if you don't want to watch subtitles in your movie, just grow up. Obviously, we all have moments where we get tired and we necessarily don't want to watch something that we have to look at subtitles for. Like, everyone's had that moment where it's like, it's kind of late. If I throw on a movie that's in a foreign language, I might have difficulty following along. I might fall asleep. You know, hey, everyone does that. But these people who just outright don't want to accept or acknowledge a movie that is subtitled like it's somehow lesser than other movies that are in English. It's just fucking mind-boggling to me. You know, I personally don't have as large an affinity for like global cinema as I should. Like there are foreign filmmakers and foreign films that I really love, but I don't make quite the effort to watch as many foreign films as I should. That's something I want to work on this year. Last year, I wanted to watch more documentaries than I usually do, and I did. This year, foreign films. That's like my thing, I think. But Parasite most very good films from other countries like transcend the language barrier if you are willing to watch something with subtitles. And it's so, I mean, it's people watch like anime all the time with subtitles, but for some reason, like movies, it just doesn't like connect. I think it's odd. And I think it would be really fucking cool if this one time the Academy acknowledged that the best movie of the year didn't fucking come from America. I think that should happen more frequently. You know, I don't think you should just exalt all foreign movies like foreign movies are inherently better than American movies, because I don't really believe that. But I think it's odd to me that like people don't, it's like some of the establishment people in the Academy don't care about the movie, don't want to connect to it because it's foreign. And it's like, but this movie is like connects with like so many different people. It is such a universal film, and it seems ridiculous to me that I even have to, or anyone even has to argue that like, oh no, you should watch it even though it's subtitled. Like, is there a dub version? No, fuck you. Just read for 2 hours. It's not that fucking hard. I mean, that's what I want to see happen on Oscar Sunday. I want to see Bong Joon-ho win Best Director, and I want to see Parasite win Best Picture. But in all actuality, both of those things are going to go to Sam Mendes, whose basically never made a movie as good as Bong Joon-ho's films. Because that's kind of the Oscars, and it's just kind of how it goes. We would love it if it was different, but, you know, it's just not. But obviously, you know, if we continue to support these films that are really good and we talk about them and we, you know, kind of give it the momentum that it needs, like these movies do occasionally get noticed by the Oscars. And when they get noticed, I think sometimes that can help the larger conversation and help other similar films in the future do better. That's kind of how I feel about the Academy Awards and the way they work. So yeah, that's all the Best Picture nominees. If you are watching this before Oscar Sunday, I'm probably going to be home live tweeting the Oscars. You can follow me on Twitter at allnewdom. That'll be in the description below. We'll see what kind of a shit show this is. We'll try not to get too worked up and remind ourselves that it doesn't really matter. Thank you for watching the video. Like I said, I'll be back to a more regular upload schedule very soon. So please watch the space for more updates about where the channel is going to be going. And thank you guys for your support so far. A year ago, I uploaded my first real video on the channel, and it was a video about the Academy Awards. So even though I really dropped the ball in the last couple months of the year, I feel really good that this channel has made it to a year of existence and that you guys have been watching it and supporting it. It means like the world to me, and I want to kind of get back to more regular uploads and get people to, you know, engage with the channel a little bit more. So like, you know, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below. You can argue with me and stuff. I'm totally cool with like being called names as long as it comes with some engagement. And if you like this video, share it, you know, tell your friends about it, you know, tell your friends to follow the channel. Thank you so much, and have a great week.